Udaipur Architecture Festival 2020 Session 3. And we are blessed to have architect Bill Bensley with us to talk about how to get inspired. More it will be taken care by architect Priyanka, who is going to moderate the show. But before that, I wish to just share one thing which even Bill or Lee doesn't know about it. Bill, we had you were the first one whom I made, and you were the fastest one to reply. You just replied in half an hour, and we were like, yeah. So it was such a fantastic feel. Can we see Bill on the screen? I mean, you were the one. Yeah. That's right. So you were the one who made it possible for us. It was a big moral boosting thing that somebody like Bill responding to our mail in few minutes, that you just go ahead, and then we created this festival around your talk. Okay, let me be honest on that. And we did share a token of gratitude to you in terms of physical form, but then it has reached your office, but it hasn't reached you because you are not in office. So anyways, thank you for accepting our offer. Thank you for being the first one to accept our offer on the first Udaipur Architecture Festival. And I promise you that once we go physical, once we go non-virtual, we go one-to-one, we are going to invite you to Udaipur as our guest, not as an architect of Uday Vilas or Leela Palace. Okay, so thank you very much. Henceforth, the show will be taken care by Priyanka, architect Priyanka, who is a fan of yours, and she introduced me to you. Okay, let me be honest. So let's have Priyanka talking to Bill Bensley in this Udaipur Architecture Festival live now.
I love it.
I'm already loving it that I'm getting to speak with you, and that too on such a big forum. It's an awesome moment for me.
You have lots of people watching, I understand.
Yes, lots of people are watching. Yes. So let's first begin with what. First of all, let me thank you for joining us for the celebration. It means a lot to all of us because we are not getting to do anything during COVID times. This is a big moment of joy for us. Now, since it's a festival, rather than going the formal introductory way, it would be great if you could say something about yourself in few words, like your journey.
My journey all started with a wrong phone number. I kid you not. I was in high school and I was in charge of career studies. So I had the job of calling up the policeman and the fireman and the architect to come in to talk to us, but I made a wrong phone number. And I called M. Purkis Rose, a guy named Rocco Campanazzi, who was a landscape architect. And I said, well, I need an architect. Can you come in? I don't know what you are, but can you come in? And he came in and he showed me pictures of Knott's Berry Farm, which is like an amusement park in Southern California. I said, wow, that's so great. And I fell in love with what he did. He came into my high school and he showed slides of all of his work. And I thought, God, that is such a neat thing to do. So the rest is history.
Wow, that's big jackpot, I can say. Okay.
Yeah, funny, huh?
Yes, continuing the conversation. Since it is Udaipur Architecture Festival and the biggest thing we all see around Udaipur is Uday Vilas. So first thing we would like to know from you is the inspiration behind the work that you have done in Udaipur.
Well, the inspiration is what I'd really like to do most of the time, in fact, all of the time, is to be able to fit in within the neighborhood. So, you know, Udaipur is my favorite place in all of India and my top 10, top 5 places in all of the world. So the last thing that I wanted to do there is to build, you know, a Bensley scape, if you will. So I wanted to build something which was took the Udaipur, the Mawari architecture and brought it into the 20th century. It's as simple as that, really.
Oh, that's so. Can we continue with the presentation that you have for us?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let me share the screen here.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, can you share? Can you see that? It's called a call to action.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's what I want to talk about, because I'm going to show you a series of projects that we are doing this year. They're new and I haven't shared them with anybody yet. So, but while I'm showing these to you, I wanted to have the audience who are I assume are architects, interior designers, landscape architects, owners and operators, how you might reinterpret what I'm doing to have a greater purpose. What can you do in India or beyond that is concerned with hospitality that can make environmentalism or conservation or the betterment of education better? And I'm going to show you some examples of what I'm doing. Okay. You may or may not know that I'm involved in Cambodia. That's my neighbor. I live in Bangkok. But my neighbor Cambodia is for Southeast Asia is a very poor country. They make the average person makes about 20% that of the average Thai person. So it's been my goal to help Cambodians for the last 15 years or so, 20 years. And these shots I took from a helicopter right before COVID. And it's really disheartening the deforestation that's going on in Cambodia. And also, of course, the deforestation, of course, that brings death to wildlife. So this is all going to tie back into hotels. Let me assure you, architecture. This is the Cardamom National Rainforest. It's a beautiful piece of land. And it's protected by these rangers down there. That's me. That's my architect spot. And it's protected by these patrol stations that there's only 115 people. But I employ many of those. By way of Wilderness Alliance, I employ many of these guys to help protect the forest. And I do that. Okay. This is a chainsaw. And I just put that in as a bit of a joke. But that chainsaw can clear something like 400 trees in one day. And since I've begun and Wilderness Alliance has begun our work there in the Cardamom National Forest, these are the type of clear cuts that we are stopping. And since I started, these are all of the chainsaws that we seized illegally from poachers.
We need a moment. There is some sound issue. We need to technically check. Just give me 10 to 20 seconds. We'll get back. Twenty seconds. No, don't do the countdown. By the way, I read the whole white paper and it's inspiring.
Good, great.
It's wonderful how small things impact the bigger picture. And okay, we are good to go. You may continue with the presentation.
Okay, so did we cover the last slide, or should I back up one?
If you could just back up one, that would be great.
Okay, so this sort of damage happens in a few days. Okay, this because with that of the chainsaws. So these are the chainsaws that we have seized. We've confiscated these 750 chainsaws within the last 5 years. So you can imagine the damage that they would have done. So this is the type of scale. This is what we're up against every single day. This is a snare, and right throughout the Cardamom National Forest, there are snares being put down every single day, and that's part of our job, is to pick up these snares, because this is, for example, this is how many snares that we capture in even just one day, and this is what they do.
Oh.
Yeah. They capture everything from an elephant to monkeys to the dhole to endangered species. So this is what we're up against every single day. Now, this is my solution, if you will. About 5 years ago, I purchased a huge piece of land on the southern part of the Cardamom National Forest with the intent to help conservation. But what we did was we built just 15 little tents, and you can see one of those tents here in plan. That's one of the tents, but this is the tent here. They're very, very high end, something like $2,500 per night. But what that high yield, low impact environmentally, what that does, it generates enough money to be able to support the policing of a much greater area. It allows us to police and to patrol a much greater area than I own within the Cardamom National Forest. So it's a win-win situation. The other thing that happens here was really great is that right down this river, the other way, there's a little town called Timorong, and that town used to be almost 100% poachers and loggers. They just set up there because that's what they did. That's how they made a living. Now, 72% of the people that work in my camp called Shintamani Wild are from that village, and they used to be poachers and they used to be loggers. So it's a feel-good story. Now they are the people that really know the forest. So they go out with our guests. We're paying a lot of money. They go out with our guests to understand what the beauty of the forest is. And that's what, since I was a little kid, this is where I feel the most comfortable. In fact, I want to show you where I am right now.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm way up in the mountains in northern Thailand. Can't leave Thailand, but I'm out in the wilderness now, so I can't get to Cambodia. But this is what I really have in my heart is to be able to save somehow the beauty of the wilderness. So these are the guys that protect the forest. These are some of the chainsaws that they picked up last week. We have all throughout the forest, we've got these traps, these photographic traps. And guys go throughout the forest with these AK-47s and these old Jeeps, and they're effective. And so far now, the animals are beginning to come back slowly, but it's working. And the really fun thing about this camp, Shintamani Wild, is that the only way to get there is by zip line.
Wow, that's so exciting.
Yeah. So that you have to climb up 10 stories, and it's the longest, or certainly one of the longest zip lines in Southeast Asia. It's about 450 meters, and you go right across a huge waterfall, and it's really scary for me. Now, this is something that no other hotel, I think, certainly in Southeast Asia have. It's our stat board, and then this gives us a daily way to toll the number of snares, over 3,000 snares in the wood that we collect, and the bulldozers that we've seized, and the guns that we've seized, the logging camps. 92 logging camps we've taken down since we've been there. So the work that we're doing there is effective, and it's sustainable, because we have this little tiny camp that has very little impact on the environment, detrimental, and it works. And so far, it's been our best year yet. We've become the darling amongst the rich and famous within Cambodia, so that we've had a very good year so far this year. Now, I want to introduce you to the kindest man in the world. This is my partner. He's Cambodian and Thai, Sukun Chanprida, and he is the fella that taught me and to give a hand up and not a hand out. So within this we have 3 other hotels. They're also Shentamani hotels, but we've got 3 other hotels, and by exactly the same way, by the top 5% of the income that we take, we use it for schools, we use it for clean water, we use it for making wells, we'll make it for dentistry for children, etc. So I think that's a good way to approach hospitality, and that our hotel has the purpose of helping the community. Good or not?
It's remarkable.
Okay, good.
If everybody followed it, it would be a different world.
Also, maybe this is a small point, but it's a big point for us, is that we are totally plastic free. All 4 of our hotels, we have no plastics in the hotel whatsoever, including the supply chain. So these boxes over here, they get filled up with food from our suppliers. They put ice in, and they're shipped out, but they're never packed with any sort of plastic, single-use plastics. Same with our bottling plants. And there's no excuse for any hotel in India or anywhere else to still be using any plastics. So if you are in a hotel that are still using plastic, let the manager know. Let them know that, hey, that's not good anymore. There's so many other ways to doing it. Now I'm going to go to Bali. We're switching the place, and then this is Bali back in 1984, and that's when I first got to Bali, and I learned the languages, of course, and I love Bali. But I want to show you my latest project. This is Bali right now. It's full of garbage. It's overcrowded and so forth. So my last hotel that I wanted to do was something that went like this, not like this. Something that hides within the forest, something that is built with minimal intervention within the space, within the nature that we have. I believe that when I'm given a beautiful site like this, is that the only thing that I'm going to do to the beautiful site is make it worse. That sounds funny. I'm a good architect, okay? A reasonable architect. But that's the way I approach a site, is that I go at it by way of mitigating the damage that we're going to do to that site. So one of the first things that we always do is we never say alter the terrain. We don't cut and fill. We put small buildings that can fit in between the trees. We never cut down a tree. Small buildings that fit in between the trees, and work around nature as though, because she's there first, we're there second, and when you can respect Mother Nature, good things happen.
So true.
So this is the Capella in Ubud, and just last month it won the best hotel in the world. And I want to tell you a little story about that. Is that this site down here, I was asked to work with a local architect, and that local architect we were going to do the interiors and the landscape. That local architect had made a plan of 120 rooms. It would have wiped out this site completely. I went to the owner and said, hey, Mr. Owner, Mr. Suito, lovely guy, can we think about this a little bit differently? Can we put 25 tents on instead? And he said, yeah, well, let's talk about it. So we talked about it, and we said, let's do something very high end. Again, Capella is a top hotel company. So we built 25 instead of 120. We spent much less money than he originally planned. We respected the site. The site is absolutely perfect. The hotel now has the highest room rates in Bali, $800 a night. He spent half as much, much less than his original budget, and the rooms are made from garbage. The rooms are made from a lot of recycled material. So all of these things in here, that's all things that I found in junk shops and antique stores and so forth that are all reused, because I believe that we already have enough new things in the world. Let's try to reuse and recycle as much as we can. So this hotel that has no walls, no television, no room service, and it has no walls, no room service, no walls, and no television, is now the #1 hotel in the world. And it's made out of garbage. That's what I call thinking out of the box.
That's wonderful.
Okay, now this is a project that's it's not finished yet, but I wanted to show you some more garbage. Now this garbage is a retired train carriage, and it's in the train station in Bangkok, and we bought 22 of these carriages, and my intention is to recycle these carriages as a new hotel. So this is some of the interiors, and then this is our plan. We're laying down train tracks in here, and then on the train tracks itself is I think what will be the world's first stationary train hotel. And these are the plans. Is that blowing up for you?
Yes, that looks amazing also. It would be a entirely different experience living in this hotel.
Yeah, exactly. And once again, all of the interiors are made out of recycled materials. We've got something like 40 rooms here, so every one of the suites is patterned after some of the places that this train would have gone. We call it the Khao Yai Express. This is an intercontinental, and it's in Khao Yai, which is a park, a national park, north of Bangkok. And this is right there. So these are the materials I'm using. Oops. Okay. I want to go back one. Okay, you can see that?
Yeah, I can see this.
Okay. These are the sections through the train, and these are the materials that we're using. And on the right-hand side there, that was last week's progress shot of how this is happening. So stay tuned. This is going to be pretty darn cool, I think. Now, next project is again the #1 hotel, Condé Nast #1 hotel in Asia this year, and it is in a UNESCO site. And I inherited some old buildings, and we've renovated those buildings to tell the story of Laos, and so that each one of these rooms portrays a particular person in Laotian history, and if one wants to tour the hotel, he can learn a whole lot about Laotian history, and people do, and people love it.
It's 18 hours.
It might sound dry, but people love to learn new things. Okay, so that we've got, at this particular property, we've got about 6 tents, and they are all devoted towards the hill tribe peoples of the hill tribe people. Then right here, this slide shows all the different rooms and all the different and the different people, like Henri Mahout, that he was the first photographer of Angkor Wat, and he wrote books about traveling up the Mekong River by foot, and it took him 2 years to do that. I'm here on the Mekong River now, and it took me 2 hours to get here. Mission Pavi, there's a whole series of really interesting backstories behind this. And then this project, the Capella Hanoi, it's opening this week. And this particular property is right around the corner from the opera house that was built in 1907 in Hanoi. So I said, okay, with the idea of contextualism, I said, let's make all of our rooms tell a story about the rather infamous people of Oprah at the turn of the century. So that has some great backstory. So that purpose of that hotel is to tell part of the story of Hanoi in a way. And then my final project that I want to share with you is a project that we're doing. It's on the boards right now. It's in Antigua, which is in the Caribbean. And we've got 60 bungalows there. But for the first time, what we're doing is we're celebrating not Lord Nelson, not the British colonial masters of the Caribbean that everyone knows about, but we're celebrating the local heroes. And by the local heroes, I mean the Black heroes, the people that have the artists, the people that, the school teachers, the people that made shows about cooking, the Olympic champions, all those people that are next door in Antigua. And that is going, that is, went over very, very well with Parliament about 3 months ago. So that's, be very, and then this is another current project. This is called World Wild. And some people, some press has called this the human zoo for a good reason. And that I've been given this huge piece of land, something like 4,000 hectares of land. And the client said to me, Mr. Bill, can you make a zoo? And being an environmentalist, I said, well, zoos aren't, my thing, but let's see what we can do. They said, okay, what do you have in mind? And I said, well, let's do a human zoo, meaning that all of the people are only around 5% of the land. The people can only use this part of the land, and they can only see inside. And we're building these, as you can see right here, we're building these very big hotels that look onto this open land. But within that land, we're taking the animals that are mistreated in the poorer zoos of China. This is in China, by the way, I forgot to tell you. The poorer zoos in China, and releasing them into. Now, this only works if you're sans carnivores. So I've been working now on my staff with a zoologist, and we're figuring this thing out now. But the reason that I'm doing this is because of Shintamani Wild. And the reason that we have problems with poaching is because those wild animals are going to the dinner tables of the rich and famous, of the Chinese and the Vietnamese. So there's a demand for it. So I think if I can use World Wild to dissuade, to teach people a different alternative, a different way of thinking about that perhaps wildlife is not something that you want to eat. Maybe it is something that gave us COVID. Maybe we want to avoid that. So that's the ability here, is to be able to teach something like 10 million people in China every day about good conservation techniques. So that's that really has a purpose. And this here, you know, is my white paper. So if you click on this QR code here, then that'll get you your copy of it. And I started out with about 100 pages, and I boiled it down to about 20, 25 pages. And this is everything that I know, and I want to share it with hoteliers, with architects, with interior designers, landscape architects, and owners. And I think everybody should read this and put it in and use it. Put it inside of your building standards if you're a hotelier. That's a good one. And finally, or you can get it through my Instagram account. There's a click here from my SS for this sustainable suggestions. And then this is my artwork. I'm really last 3 years I've been on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I paint 12 hours a day. Besides being an architect, this is something that's really been consuming me, and I'm going to have a show next year, and all of the proceeds for that show, of course, will go towards conservation in Cambodia. So I just wanted to share that with you too. And then that's some of my work. See how big this is? It's 3 meters by 3 meters. So that's all I have to show for you today. I hope that's okay.
It's wonderful. I may fall short of the adjectives. It seems like slowly you are getting so strong as an influencer who could make a big change, which is much required. And I am sure it is very, very fulfilling for you. It inspires all of us amazingly. And
it's a good journey.
Yeah, looking at all the works that you have displayed and all the things that we have gathered from the internet. We have been to 2 places here which are done by you, which is Udavilas and Leela, and everything. So all the works that you do, they have this sensation, this glamour. It's like you are dressing up for a big night. Yes. So if you could, from the design perspective, if you could show or guide us on how to create these memorable experiences for the user, that would be a good start.
Well, you know what is that today, this is really important. You can't sell things by the telephone. You can't sell it. So I have been, I have been designing for Instagram. I've been designing places in order for people to say that, we have to take a picture here, because it's so different. And what I found is that color is really important. People love bright colors, and that works so much better in Instagram and in selfies and so forth than it does in a white on white interiors and so forth. So so that's one good way of doing that. Don't be afraid of color. The other thing is, don't be afraid of anything. My feeling is, and my suggestion is to the young designers, or to who anyone's is listening, do your research.
Yeah, everybody's listening.
Do your research, but don't be afraid of doing something new. And whatever you do, don't do beige on beige.
Yeah, that's a fantastic advice, I must say.
Don't be safe.
Yes, please never play safe, otherwise it would be a business hotel.
Yeah, even in a business hotel, don't play safe. Just because businessmen are businessmen doesn't mean they need to have beige on beige, right?
Yeah. So we all going Bensley.
That's what I love about India is that no matter where you look, is especially in Udaipur, it's this barrage of colors, right? And what I also really like about India is that the amount of craftsmen there that still use their hands. I mean, we can all do this now. I mean, that's basically most of us, but still in India, there's the tekri and the wood carving and the stone carving and the painting, and the plaster working, and so again, go back to your roots, but again, take it steps further. Take it into a place that we haven't seen before, but using those traditional techniques. That's I think that's what I'm going to do the next time I'm working in Udaipur.
Yes, sure. So, one small thing. So, as all your work progresses, things are same, but they're different. Here also, when we see Udaivilas, so there's a turn from traditional to modernity in Leela. So, would you tell how the thought process was driven? What was the inspiration there?
Well, the Nayars were very much a part of that inspiration, right? So, they are my clients. Have had very specific tastes in what they liked, what they didn't like, and I also worked with my best friend Jeffrey Wilkes, who did the interiors at the Leela. He's a super fantastic interior designer, and I love working with him. So, and we played off of each other. So that's and with the Nayars, the wonderful part about it is that their philosophy, and excuse me if I've got this wrong, but their philosophy is more is never enough. And I love that idea.
So from that, I had written one question, which I'm sure is not going to work, because your body of work is colorful, it's vibrant, and so personally, I wanted to ask you this, that would doing a minimal space interest you?
Does it, you know what is that, every type of design interests me, because there's always, I say this, 10 times every week, is there's always a solution to every design problem. And minimalism, while it's not my favorite genre, can be done very well. And I think that, for example, the minimalism of a ryokan in Kyoto is traditional. It uses a very clear and very distinct palette of minimal amount of materials, and usually those materials are natural, and it feels right. So that sort of minimalism, and when you define it in that way, that interests me a great deal. But minimalism for today is, sorry, John Pawson's type of minimalism that feels to me as being uncomfortable.
I would love to hear what would he say to that.
I know what he would say. Yeah, it's not that that's a bad thing, but we all have to have our likes and dislikes.
Yeah. So coming to the sustainability thing, as you are working a lot on the topic, and all the places that you have worked upon have been sustainable and they have been environmental friendly. And as you mentioned in the white paper also, what do you think is stopping big chains like the Marriott or other big chains who have like big hotels coming around the world? Why they do not follow the suit?
Why don't they follow the suit? Is that that's a really good question. I can't answer it because the Marriott is my client for many projects. But in essence, my white paper my white paper is directed towards the larger hotel companies. And the key is, if it costs money, no one's going to want to know about it. But in my white paper, what I approached every single idea is about making money and not just spending money. So by way of, for example, by way of the simple idea, by way of the water bottling plant. Water bottling plant, we know in an existing hotel, throw out the plastic bottles, put a water bottling plant in, it has something like a year and a half or 2-year payback. So it makes sense financially. Things that I talk about of how you build hotels to be able to set back the glass line within shadow line and be able to create spaces that has cross ventilation saves money in the long run. The idea of alternative efforts, alternative methods of solar power and so forth saves money in the long run. So it is convincing the big guys that it is more economical to do these ideas, these few ideas, these 20 pages of ideas now rather than doing it the regular way. And I've been very successful in that too so far, and even with Marriott.
I'm sure you are, because when I read about the story of Capella Ubud and how you made it from a 120 hotel room plan to 25 tents, that's a big achievement in itself, and make the project running successful, top award bearing thing. It's big effort. Yes, you could shout out. Now, lastly, coming from the architects of Udaipur, especially because the hospitality scene in Udaipur has revolved a lot around Uday Vilas, Leela, and the places that you have designed. Most of us are highly inspired by your work, and what would be your advice to the people who are inspired by you?
Well, once we get this darn COVID out of the way, travel. I think that's the best. Yeah, that's the best way in order to learn. I've been very fortunate so far. I've been to 97 different countries, and last year I did something like 300 flight sectors, and by having that ability to travel and having all of that, that encyclopedia of images in my head makes you a better designer. Full stop, 100%. Go travel.
Wow. I would say go travel and then work for Bill Bensley. That would be perfect way to do it.
Yeah, sure.
I'm delighted to have this conversation with you. Any more message you want for us, for Udaipur Architecture Festival, for this celebration? It would be wonderful.
Yes, I think it's also one key thing, as you can see by my screen here. One key thing for architects is that please draw with your hand every day. I do. I've got I've got on my vacation so far. We're 9 days into it. I have something like 20 drawings. But draw with your hand, because it's way better than taking a picture. Ding, ding, ding. With this, you don't remember things. When you draw, you remember and you understand. So I've been drawing buildings, I've been drawing temples, I've been drawing people, I've been drawing dancers. Anything that I want to remember, I draw. So please, architects, I know it sounds old-fashioned. Pick up a paper, pencil, eraser, never let it go. Stick it in your back pocket. Make notes by way of drawing.
Yes, I think that's the best way to do it, because it flows through your hand into the paper. That's the most effective way. So
you remember.
There are about more than 250 people listening to us right now. That's the number that I have to give to you.
Good.
And I hope most of them get the message. Most of them understand that all this is a foundation for a better tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. It was great being with you. Okay. Let me call Sunil. He also wants to say bye.
Okay.
Okay, so Bill, thank you very much for this interesting session, and I believe we all would have got some inspiration, if not more, at least some, to start sketching and designing. In fact, I am the next speaker, and I am talking about not touching the pencil and designing it by computer. So
Okay.
once you're in office, you will actually see what we feel for you and how respectful figure you are to all of us here. And you have been a lucky mascot for us because of you we could achieve 1800 registrations. You made the beginning. That is the best part. So thank you very much, and see you again in Udaipur. And happy festival to all of you. Namaste.
Namaste. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Wonderful. Bye.